Welcome on this Sunday to the Allen Americans podcast. As you can see, joined by the head coach and general manager of your Allen Americans, Steve Martinson. Marty, boy, a beautiful weekend here in Texas.
Yeah, I've been at the rink a lot. My daughter had 4 games this weekend, so we've been at the rink a lot, but it has really been nice outside, driving around with the windows open.
Before we move on to this week and the big signing, let's reflect back just a moment on last week and the showing over at iPic of the 2015 championship. I know you said you hadn't watched it before. After watching that again and not having to be stressed out on the bench, what did you think?
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, and then I remembered Costello's goal really well, his deep goal, and then the one off the face-off, and when you see him, because that's the one thing I did see was the highlights. Steffes had that big backhand rebound, so it was fun. It was enjoyable to watch it. And then you didn't have to wait in between periods, which was even better.
Yeah, no kidding. And what was amazing was the shots, and I forgot this until afterwards. The shots were pretty close on each side, but we dominated on the offensive score sheet. It just seemed like, and once they pulled Jakaitis, I don't want to say they were mailing it in, but I thought if they had any chance of winning, it was with him.
Yeah, it was kind of a funny play because they'd done so much with him that year, and I certainly don't look, at the plays that he got scored on. It was a breakaway and, some pretty good scoring chances. But, it was pretty good getting that big lead and then kind of cruising in the third period.
That was great. And all the fans, a lot of them who had been to games in a while and that showed up and said, hey, this is one of the greatest things you guys have done. And, of course, we're going to do it again. At the end of October, we're going to replay the 2016 ECHL Kelly Cup Championship where the Americans beat the Wheeling Nailers. Well, on now to the big week, and Olivier Archambault resigned again. That is a big signing. Was that a guy that when the season ended last year that you were very confident would be coming back?
He talked about going to Europe, and Archie talks about that, each year. But we just talked that, I thought he was really back in his A game. Unfortunately, it was the last few weeks of the season. And, even though he was our second leading scorer per game, he has the ability to almost score. I can't say score at will, but he can really change a game. And, missing that year, I think he was a little bit up in the air of what he was going to do. And so, by the time he really got up to speed, the season ended. So I'm expecting him, all these guys are training. They're really lifting the weights because you can't skate as much. A lot of rinks aren't open, but, I think we're going to see a lot of guys in the best physical shape that they've been in this year.
And he finished third on the team last year in scoring. But what's amazing, if you go back and look at his numbers, especially the year when he was here for a short amount of games, how amazing those numbers are if you look over a point a game. Very incredible.
Yeah, and what's going on with the American League is they haven't signed a lot. A lot of teams haven't signed a lot of players. So I think at some point we'll lose them to a team, but I'm looking at, trying to have a loaded playoff roster. And, he guaranteed that he would come back for the playoffs. But, of all the players to go up in the American League that are free agents from the ECHL, no one has put the numbers up that Archie's done. And Archie went up and scored 12 goals in 30 games, in the American League, which is, those are pretty big numbers for a free agent coming out of our league. So, I'm expecting him to cause a lot of havoc for defense early.
Last but not least, big games for your son as the North American Hockey League gets cranked up, this coming weekend over at NITEX in Fort Worth, and New Mexico is in town, so you get a chance to see Logan play in person.
Yeah. It's pretty exciting, so I haven't, one advantage of not playing, at the beginning of the season this year for me is I get to see my kids' games a lot. I've already been to I think I've seen maybe a dozen of my daughter's games already. So we're going to a tournament in Minnesota the middle of October. Willie's got another tournament. She's got a girls' tournament next weekend here I guess it's in Mansfield. So I haven't been out to that rink, but I think it's pretty nice.
Yeah, and just one more thing about Logan's team. It's coached by Phil Fox, a former player of ours, a guy who won a championship in Allen. He said when I talked to him recently, he said he tried to emulate a lot of the things he watched you do behind the bench, and tried to learn from a guy who has obviously had a lot of success. Can you give advice to a young coach like that, and somebody like a Phil Fox who's very easygoing? What do you say to him?
Well, Fulmer too. Fulmer's assistant coach on that team, and that was Fulmer made some big plays in that playoff game that we had the other day. But my best advice is you got to be honest and you got to be yourself. I mean, players will see through if you're trying to be somebody you're not. You can't keep that up, and really you just got to believe in your instincts, and then obviously you got to be you got to understand the game and be able to relate it and stay up with the changes in the game. That's our game has been evolving, and especially now in the NHL, there's so much coaching. There's so much coaching on the players, and it's almost you have to pick your spots of when you're going to coach them. Sometimes you got to let them make mistakes and understand. They know, usually they know they've made a mistake. And anyway, just be honest and be yourself.
Marty, thanks for doing this. Enjoy this beautiful fall day here in North Texas.
Yeah, it is a beautiful day. You too, Tommy.
All right, thanks a lot.